Now turning to a troubling new report linked to this country from the United Nations. It says Canada's temporary foreign worker program is, quote, a breeding ground for contemporary forms of slavery. CBC's Albert Delatella has read the full report and he's bringing us the details. Albert, talk to us about what stood out to you, because it's quite a lengthy document. There's quite a number of findings that are quite shocking.
There are, Abby, and it follows a tour by the UN's Special Rapporteur on contemporary forms of slavery across the country, visiting major cities and speaking with employers. And this is what he found. He said that the temporary foreign worker program serves as what he calls a breeding ground for contemporary forms of slavery as it institutionalizes asymmetries, he says, of power that favor employers and prevent workers from exercising their rights. So that temporary foreign worker program, what that program has been intended for is for Canadian employers to hire temporary foreign workers if there aren't qualified Canadians available. It has 5 streams that include low wage and primary agriculture. Most of those temporary foreign workers work in agriculture, scenes like you see right there. But increasingly, in recent years, the low wage stream has seen a steep rise. That includes jobs such as on the front lines of fast food restaurants. The report found a significant power imbalance between the employer and workers, with workers' migration status depending on employer-specific closed work permits. That means that if they're fired, for instance, they could be deported back to their countries of origin. That also means that employers have limited incentives to ensure decent working conditions, since employees, they don't necessarily have other employers they can go to. The report found that the government does not seem to proactively inform workers of their rights, but rather defers a lot of that to employers. And despite what the report says is a significant conflict of interest there. And given those structural inequalities between employer and employees, problems that result include sexual harassment, exploitation, and many of those, what you see stated there on the left side of your screen, just a slew of outcomes, of consequences to that. The report says that simply reducing the number of temporary workers is unlikely to significantly improve conditions, especially for those entering the program. It says the best support is to allow employees the freedom to choose any employer in any sector if they want to change jobs, and also to have a pathway to permanent residency status.
Albert, the report is out. You just explained some of the damning findings in it. What has the reaction been to all of this?
Right, so there has been quite a bit, including from the federal government. We heard just this afternoon from the federal Ministry of Labor and the press secretary for Minister Randy Boissonnault. Here's what we heard from that person. They wrote, the health and safety of temporary foreign workers in Canada is paramount. It is the responsibility of employers who hire temporary foreign workers to ensure their safety and well-being for the entirety of their employment. It is the responsibility of the federal government to ensure that employers comply with the program and hold those to account who do not. We also heard from the program coordinator for PEI's Cooper Institute Migrant Program about what he sees as a need for that path to permanent residency.
I think we need to give workers access to permanent residency, and we need to end the closed work permit regime that is very clear. If we want to have workers have access to health care and the employment benefits that they're paying into, like CPP and EI, we need to give them permanent residency status to ensure that can happen and give them the same labor mobility that Canadians have.
All right, and we are hearing more and more voices responding to this report, and many of those, as you say, Abby, shocking findings, and we'll keep tracking them in the hours ahead.
Thanks for that, Albert. The CBC's Albert Delatella.